Alright, so in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to build a computer. I'm going to kind of do a quick run through of what components I've chosen for this build and why, and then I'll go ahead and actually get into the meat of building it. I'll start off here with the case. I've chosen the Node 202 case for this build, particularly because of its size. This case, I've got a plan to build a mount to hang it on the back of a 28-inch monitor. There are a lot of big, kind of ultra-wide 34-inch all-in-one PCs coming out over the last year, and I kind of wanted to see what I could do to build my own for lower price than what I saw out there. Cool things about this case got USB 3.0 on the front. It does have room for a full-size graphics card in the rear, and it takes standard ITX motherboards. Onto the motherboard, I've chosen the ASRock Z270M ITX board. I've chosen this board for a number of reasons. One, I've had a lot of really good luck with ASRock boards. I've built, I can't count how many systems with this brand, and have had really good luck with them. This board in particular has Wi-Fi already built in. It's also got your NVMe ready M.2 slot right here. And of course it takes full-size PCIe graphics cards, so that way I can play some games on it. Give you a shot of the back here. So you've got two HDMI ports, a slew of USB 3.0. You've got your wireless and dual NICs here as well. This is an 1151 socket board, so I'll be going with Intel for this build. As of this video, the AMD chips have not come out yet. I wanted to wait for it, but unfortunately couldn't hold myself back. So with this build, I'm going with the i7-7700. It is not a K processor in this case. I'm not sure that I'm going to have the kind of thermal capacity to overclock it, so that's why I went with a locked processor. It also comes with a heatsink, whereas the K processors do not. So this is kind of, I don't want to say temporary, but it's not my end state in this case, I think. So that's another reason I went with the Z board. For the RAM, I got some Patriot RAM, 16 gigs DDR4. With the speed of the memory, unless you're overclocking, very heavily, you're not really going to need anything faster than your basic memory. I got this for 80 bucks, so I went ahead and grabbed this. Definitely recommend 16 gigs over an 8 gig kit at this point. Not that 8 gigs won't suffice, but if your aim is to future-proof it at least a little bit, you'll definitely want to go with that. I've also got here my solid state drive. So this is an Intel drive. It's 256 gig drive. I do have spots for more drives in the case, so that's why I didn't want to go too big on the SSD. I actually wound up getting this from Amazon for 90 bucks, so I couldn't say no to that. And this is an NVMe drive with the PCIe express lanes. So it should be super fast. It's my first NVMe drive, so I'm excited to check that out. Lastly is a graphics card. This is maybe a little bit less exciting than the rest of the build. I got this graphics card on Craigslist for 40 bucks. It's an R9 AMD card. It's a 270X. For 40 bucks, it's going to be able to play Civ 6 for me, which is my ultimate goal of this build right now. And then I'll wait for AMD Vega stuff to come out before I go ahead and spend big bucks on a new graphics card. So with that, I'll go ahead and kind of open up the case, give you guys a look inside, and start the build. Alright, I'll start with the solid state drive. Much like any of these other add-on cards, what you're going to do to install this M2 solid state drive is you're going to come in at a 45-degree angle here, just like this, and just apply some pressure. It'll pop right in just like that. Make sure it's firmly seated. You can kind of get a kind of C-grip like this. Just make sure it's firmly seated, and then push it straight down. And then your motherboard is going to come with one of these little screws that you can go ahead and install like this. Alright, screw does not have to be super tight. You just snug it in, and then you've got your solid state drive all installed. Now, if you're not opting to go with an M2 solid state drive, you're going to be using these SATA ports. So at this point in the build, you don't want to put anything in here if you're not using a solid state drive like this, and I'll cover that once we go ahead and install this into the case itself. So next step, go ahead and grab your processor and open it on up. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do in this build is go ahead and assemble everything that goes onto the motherboard. So I'm going to put the RAM into the motherboard, I'm going to put the processor into the motherboard, apply the thermal paste, and put the heatsink on it. And then I'm also going to install this M2 solid state drive, so that way I've got all in one. This is the heart of the computer that'll get put in once I open up the case. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've opened up my processor. So this is your processor, this is your heatsink fan. I'm sure I'll get a lot of people asking why I chose the i7-7770 non-K version over something like a 7600K with an aftermarket cooler. And the reason for that is in the Node 202, this case that we're using here, there's a height restriction on what kind of coolers you can put in there. And to get a good aftermarket cooler with that height restriction, you're looking at spending about $40. So the price difference between getting an i7 with a stock cooler and 7600K is very minimal, and a lot of my workloads are multi-threaded, so that's why I wanted to have the 8 virtual cores rather than giving up those cores just for a few extra 100 megahertz from a gaming standpoint. Additionally, this is a 65 watt TDP chip, so it's going to use a lot less power than an overclocked i5. So at this point, you're going to go ahead and you're going to open up the slot. Now there's a little lever right here that just you just press it outwards, and it comes up and reveals the pins in the motherboard. Now, this is probably the only thing that you can screw up on a computer build if you're not careful. Everything else is pretty straightforward, but these pins are really delicate, so don't mess around when you're opening this up. And you'll want to go ahead and remove this black cover right here so that we can go ahead and insert the CPU. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this cover. So you're just going to pull up on the top here, and it'll pop off just like that. So boom, now we've got an exposed motherboard here, so be very careful. I've seen a lot of horror stories of people dropping their processor while they're trying to put it in, and they bend some of these pins. You definitely don't want to do that. So looking at the processor here, here's your processor, and if you look closely, you'll see that there's a little gold star, or rather arrow, on one corner. And if you look at the motherboard, let's see if I can get this a little bit closer. If you look at the motherboard, you're going to see that there's a little arrow right here that corresponds with what orientation the processor needs to go in. So you go ahead and you open up the tray here, and then you'll see there's little spots on two sides of the socket for where your fingers can go down and gently put the processor in. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to push it in there or anything like that. Now what we're going to do is you're going to close the door. You're going to do this. You're going to feel some resistance. That's okay. That's perfectly normal. And boom, your processor is seated in the motherboard properly. Now if you're using new parts like I am for this part of the build, your cooler will actually already come with thermal paste applied to it, so you don't even have to really worry about anything here at this point. But if you're not using a brand new cooler and you have to apply your own, what you're going to do is you're going to apply about half a pea size worth of this thermal paste right in the center, and then just go ahead and put the heatsink down onto it. Now I've seen some people take kind of a plastic bag around their finger and spread it around. Then there's the half a pea method. I use the half a pea method, and that's worked very well for me. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and we're going to install the cooler. Depending on your cooler, it may be slightly different, but you just want to make sure that these feet right here don't have the little interior black pin already pushed down. So if you can kind of see here, once I put this down into the board, I'm going to push this down, I'm going to squeeze this, and that black pin is going to push through, and that's what holds it onto the motherboard. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. You just kind of line it up over top of it. It's like this. Kind of soft push the feet down through the motherboard, feel them on the bottom, and you can't really see this on the video, but I'm kind of feeling on the bottom to make sure that they've all gone through. It's like that. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to push down And you kind of want to be careful while you're doing this. It's better if you can to put it on a flat surface. I've done this a bunch of times, so I'm confident in my ability to hold it in my two hands, but you don't want to flex this motherboard. It's actually rather gentle. So when you're assembling it, just make sure you're not really cranking down on it and you'll be okay. All right, so now we're at the phase where you put in the memory. One of my favorite parts here. So this memory is Patriot. I've always had really good luck with Patriot RAM. Frankly, there's not a whole lot of bad RAM you can buy nowadays. Just go on Amazon or Newegg and just make sure it's got decent reviews and you'll be fine. It's not as critical as it used to be, maybe 10 years ago or so. All right, now the thing about RAM is it's not symmetrical. So if you can tell, this side has fewer teeth than this side. So you've just got to make sure that when you're lining it up here, you've got that in mind. Now this board, just take a second here, this board has clasps that are only on one side. Some boards will have them down here as well. So when you're putting it in, just try and move both sides. If one side doesn't move, that's fine. I'm going to show you how to install that type here on this board. And if yours does have clasps on both sides, it's very simple. You just put the memory stick in, apply pressure, and both of them will click together. So here on this one, what I'm going to do is line it up on this static side first, put it in on this side, and then I'm going to apply equal pressure on both sides here of the motherboard, and boom, I hear it click into place. Same thing on this one. Go ahead. Okay. Now you want to make sure the RAM is firmly seated. Most of the time when somebody has a build that they've done that I have to fix because they couldn't get it to work, it's just poorly seated RAM. So most of the time that's the problem. If you're having difficulty troubleshooting your new system, you can't figure it out, pull the RAM out, put it back in. 99% of the time that'll be the fix. All right, so in this segment, we're going to actually open up the computer. Now, if you've got a different case, this procedure will be slightly different. Pretty self-explanatory, though. This is probably the most complex one that I've had to open up in a while. So with the node, there's 4 screws on the bottom. And you're going to go ahead and just remove these 4 screws, just like this. And then flip it over and pull off the top. All right. And it's a pretty cool case because these sides, although plastic, has a metal top, which is nice. It's going to help me when I'm figuring out how to mount this on the back of a monitor, for sure. All right, so you've got your accessories, you've got your power cord, you've got all your rat's nest of wires here. We're going to take the input-output shield from your motherboard box, and we're going to go ahead and install it. Make sure you install it in the correct orientation. With this one, you're going to see the audio ports on the right side, which is pretty common, so that's likely what yours is going to be as well. And you're just going to kind of push it in from the back here. Be a couple of little pops that you got to hit, and then boom, it's mounted. And you're ready to go ahead and move these cables out of the way and install your motherboard. Now, in this case, just want to point out this little area down here. Got a lot of wires all over here. This has a power supply extension cable, basically, that runs all the way down the length of the interior of the case. And as I got this, it had this underneath one of the standoffs for the motherboard. I don't want to build it like that, so I'm going to pull this out of the way as I insert my motherboard. And we'll go ahead and we'll put this on while it's out. Go ahead, just put it on one of the headers. Boom, done. Put this outside. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to rewire this so it doesn't hit. But what you're going to do is you're going to come in, again, kind of at a 45-degree angle, so that way you can get all the holes lined up on the back side here, and then you're going to drop it into place. And let me just take a second to get these wires set up so that the fan isn't hitting. All right, so we are now going to install the motherboard into the case here. I've just moved around some of these cables to get them out of the way, just undoing this and just trying to get a little bit of space so that when I drop it in here, it goes in without a hitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to align the back I/O shield, like I mentioned before. Now with this board, the thing that you got to be careful about is, go ahead and kind of get a better picture here. If you can see right here, the way the I/O shield comes from the factory has these little teeth, and if I were to just cram it back in there, these teeth are actually going to go into the HDMI port, and obviously we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to take the board back out. I wanted to show this. I actually looked for it when I first opened up the box, because I've had this on several different motherboards. So just make sure you're checking that before you go ahead and install this, because you really don't want to just cram it in there and then find out later that you screwed up one of your HDMI ports or Ethernet ports or what have you. So now, go ahead and line it up, and you'll see that as I've got it seated in here, it's lining up well. So these little teeth on both sides, that's on the top, we're good there. I'm actually going to go around here, check the back. Everything looks like it's lining up, so we look good. I'll back out a little bit. And now you've got 4 screws in the motherboard, or in the case box. I'm going to secure it up against the back panel here and go ahead and put these screws in. Now when you're putting these screws in, you don't want to tighten them all down individually. What you want to do is you want to loosely put each one in, and then once they're all in, then you can go ahead and tighten them down. Okay, and one more. Really helps to have a magnetic screwdriver when you're building a computer. And I'll put the link for these ones. I got a 3-pack of these ones. Magnetism wears off of any magnetized tool after a while, so that's why you want to get a 3-pack. I'll put the link in the video description. All right, so now this is looking a whole lot more like a computer. Got your power supply, you've got your motherboard and all the components, and an interesting thing about this computer is the way the graphics card is installed. So this graphics card is actually going to be installed like this in the case, and to put it in that orientation, we're going to use these riser cards. Now in my experience, riser cards can be a little bit finicky, so you really want to make sure that these are seated properly when you put them in. For this one, you're going to first have a riser card that goes right here, which is going to seat down into the case, and that is actually going to screw into this middle section using these 3 screws that come with the case. And then this one is going to go like this to allow you to have that orientation. So I'll go ahead and I'll secure this one without eating up too much more video footage. And we'll move on to the next phase of actually setting up all these wires. Alright, so I'm going ahead and put this in. I did have to remove the RAM to access this screw. I used a longer screwdriver here to just go straight through the heatsink here to access that one. Longer screwdriver helps on these screws. So you may need to do that if you're building a Node 202 specifically. And the next part of your build is going to be hook up the case wires to your motherboard. Now on this case, you're going to have your front audio panel, you're going to have some LEDs, your power switch, that sort of stuff, and then you're going to have this cable, which if you haven't built a newer computer, this is actually your USB 3.0. So if you're used to the USB 2.0, it's a little bit different connector. So go ahead and grab your motherboard manual and get those hooked up. Now I will say this case actually, for a small case, in my opinion, has a lot of really good cable management options. If you look down in here, you can see, let's get some zoom. So you can see in here these little kind of ribs on the inside of the case, and they're all over the case. And what these are for are using your zip ties that come with the case, or kind of twist ties that you'd see on the end of bread bags or whatever. It's for getting these cables to all lay flat into here and secure them down. Now you don't want to tighten these up so much that the cables pull on the pins, but cable management is the cheapest way to keep your computer cooler. So if you're going to go out and spend $50 on a aftermarket heatsink, that's kind of wasted if you're not actually cable managing properly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hook up these motherboard cables, and I'll also go ahead and hook up my main board, my 24 pin here, which goes here obviously, and my 8 pin, which goes right here, and I'll get my cable management how I like it, so you guys can kind of see what I've done here. Maybe you can find ways to improve on the way I'm going to do this. Alright, so I'm going to give you guys an idea of what I've done so far. You can see in here, I've just got this cable kind of strapped to the case. With how mobile I expect it to be, I really don't want stuff moving around. Same thing under here. Now this, I haven't moved this stuff because I wanted to give you guys an idea of what I've got going on underneath. I'll likely put this into this little hard drive area here. But you can see I've folded this down. These will all get kind of strapped like that, so the airflow will be very good, and then this will get strapped down over here. So from heatsink standpoint, there's plenty of airflow, and then of course I'll go ahead and I'll wrap these up. This is the graphics card, and then everything else will get neatly tidied up over here. So once you guys are satisfied with how well you've got the cable management, we'll move on to the next step. Just a quick note, I do use some needle nose pliers here to pull the zip ties through, give you a little bit better grip, not required, but gets it nice and tight. Again, when you're doing cable management, you want to ensure that it's loose on both ends. So I'll use this cable as an example. Nowhere am I pulling on the cable. You really don't, while you're trying to get everything all nice and tidy, you don't want to pull on anything. You want it to have nice amounts of give on both sides while being as kind of tight to the case or side areas as possible to allow this fan to flow. Alright, so I've gone ahead and finished the rest of the cable management here, obviously leaving out the graphics card. I was able to use this little box right here that's supposed to be for hard drives, and I just put some cables in here, got everything tied down around the back, and then also tied down these cables here, so that way none of the cables catch up in the fans when I put these in here. So as this is a used card, I'm going to go ahead and blow out the dust, and then I'm going to go ahead and install it. And the way that this installs, you take off these little backplate things here, and you put it in. There is a little block right here. Let's see if I can get this on the video. Yeah, so this little block right here is adjustable. And if this isn't the right level to support your card, you actually take off the bottom panel and you can adjust this little piece here. Alright, so I think it's worthwhile to show you guys how to take this back cover off, just because it is kind of a pain, and to get any decent sized graphics card in there, you are going to need to take it off. So the main thing with this is you'll see these little kind of pop tabs here. They are all around the exterior. Now you want to be careful because this front panel is going to have to come off at an angle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start on this side, and I'm going to go ahead and just gently kind of pull this up. This is just going to kind of pull back like this, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side and just pull it back. just like that, and it's going to pop up like that. You kind of take it out at that 45-degree angle. Now what you're left with is a screen here for your graphics card, and I'll put this off to the side. And this screen is actually held on with magnets. So you've got your graphics card stay here, pull off the magnetic screen, and boom, you've got your graphics card leg. And it's kind of held on there very firmly. I'm just going to move it up out of the way, see if that gives me the clearance I need. I orient it kind of like a desktop or normal desktop computer, and then I'm going to go ahead and slip this in here and see if that gives me the clearance needed. So for this card, it looks like it is actually going to fit for me, and you want to be careful not to force any of this stuff, because obviously these components are pretty gentle, or pretty okay, so we're in. Now for my MSI card, if you can see it here in the video, the outermost selection for this slider is actually going to be the right length. Now what you're going to want to do, you see I've got my piece here, this is just going to go into here. Make sure that you flip it around and that all the fans spin freely, because as this case is designed, these cables have to go here, so there's nowhere else for these cables to go. So I'm going to go ahead, just make sure this is, kind of providing some support for the card. So I'm going to take it down just a little bit. You don't want it to be pushing or pulling on any way. You just want it to stay as it's designed in here, and then just add your screws to the end, and then I'll go ahead and put my magnetic cover back on. Alright, so once you got everything all back together, last thing to do is to install these little feet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And the way that I'm going to install them is just right on the corners here, like this. And they may wind up coming off once I mount this onto a monitor, but at least this way I can use it on a desk and get the airflow properly coming through. Alright. Okay, and then these two things. And I think if you guys haven't already purchased parts and you're looking at a smaller build like this one, my only gripes with this case are that whenever you change out the graphics card, you got to take the whole thing apart. So you're going to have to take off that bottom cover as well, which for this form factor I guess isn't too much of a sacrifice, but it is kind of a pain in the neck. And then also for the front panel connectors, those wires coming off of there are all spread out, and it kind of makes it hard to do cable management. So those are my only two gripes. If I were purchasing again, I'd probably buy the same case. So I probably would buy another one of these. But there are a couple other options out there, and dependent on how much space savings you need, you may want to look around. I also have a couple bigger ITX cases that definitely give you a little bit more flexibility and more geared towards gaming and being able to swap parts out. But that's the Fractal Designs Node. This is my build. I will be installing Linux on it a little bit later today, and then potentially I may install Windows on it at some point and do some benchmarks for you guys. Thanks for watching.